In opposition and en masse, nearly 30,000 people arrived at the Rand Stadium for the launch of the election manifesto. The official opposition, the Democratic Alliance, is a curious party. Not only is it against the ruling African National Congress, but also against its own coalition bedfellows, the Economic Freedom Fighters.
In 2016, we came here and we said to the people of South Africa, one day the DA will be in government in Johannesburg, in Tshwane, in Nelson Mandela Bay. They said to us it would never happen.
But as confident as the mood and the DA leader was at the party's manifesto launch, the dream of governing Gauteng province after the May 8th elections might just be that. The DA received 1 million fewer votes than the African National Congress in Gauteng province in 2014. And according to the last poll by the Institute for Race Relations, the DA will decline in support to about 25% following May's election. Even more worrying for the DA, the party's stance on land is against the populist mantra of the other two political parties. The DA rejects the expropriation of land without compensation. This is the election chorus of the ANC and the EFF.
It's good to have the land, but sometimes if you don't have a proposition, it means that what about those people that they're going to bring that land? What are we going to do about that land? Because if you can see, everywhere we get land, but nothing we have done. The land is set, it's empty-handed. So it's better that land, if we get it, then we can build something then for the future. Our children from the grade 12, they go to school, but nothing. After that, they don't know anything.
But Saturday was a chance to tell the people why the DA is a viable alternative. Strangely, Maimane spoke a lot about his father, little about his mother. But ever the preacher, Maimane came into his own when highlighting the DA's manifesto for 2019. But critics say that he spoke about his dreams of a job in every South African household, how liberators have become looters, but he forgot his own plan.
We need to change.
We need to change. And the DA is a new party that should govern and remove old parties who have failed us a long time ago.
12 years ago, Maimane quit voting for the ANC to join the DA. The question is, will either party remember him fondly in 12 years' time? More to the point, will he ever get the magic 30% of the national votes? He struggled to get 22% in the depths of the Zuma years. What price is 30% in the Ramaphosa's renewal and hope era? The head of politics and governance at the Institute of Race Relations, Gareth van Onselen, joins me now to discuss the DA's electoral chances at the polls. Gareth, you as the IRR track these kinds of things, how political parties are faring. The DA is looking up north for its next electoral vote, hoping to be closer to 30% than they are to 25%. Does that correlate with what you're seeing on the ground?
Yes, well, as I understand it, the DA has set an internal target of 27%. They don't seem to quite be there as of yet. Our polls have them, we put them on 23% in September last year and on 18% in December. It's likely they've recovered some support and are probably in the low 20s at the moment, but we're going to have to wait for our next poll to find that out. The long and the short of it is they're a long way off 30%.
Gareth, ultimately 23%, that's what you're projecting, and what the party seems to unofficially be projecting is 27%. When you think about the scandal-ridden, corruption-filled Zuma years in government, are you disappointed that the DA is only taking such a small margin of victory from the ruling African National Congress?
Yes, I think after 5 years of what has effectively been some of the most ruinous governance that we've seen in South Africa, you would expect the official opposition to be able to capitalize particularly on alienated ANC supporters. and to be able to make inroads into the support for the ruling party. But there's little evidence that the DA has been able to do that. In fact, it's the economic freedom fighters that seems to be making the biggest inroads into ANC support.
Gareth, for the while, the Democratic Alliance has been saying that judge us on how we govern, and all the time held up a beacon of theirs called the Western Cape Province. But all is not well as it seems. The DA cannot come back to pretend to be the paragon of good governance, especially following the Cape Town water crisis and what the Auditor General has declared as an irregular tender when you think about the Glad Africa contract in the city of Tshwane. So how are they going to attract, or rather distinguish themselves from the ruling ANC?
Well, look, I would disagree with that. And the reason would be the following, that no political party is perfect. And you're absolutely right that the DA has had some fundamental challenges. The managing of the drought is one of them, and some corruption allegations in Gauteng and Tshwane. But I think they pale in comparison to the kind of problems that the African National Congress has faced. And on the key fundamentals, on things like economic growth, on good governance, sound administration, the DA is simply in a different league. So I would argue it can still play that card and still come across as credible as, a delivery-orientated party that stands apart from the African National Congress.
In the interest of full disclosure, I must emphasize that Gareth van Onselen was a member of the Democratic Alliance before his new life, as it were. But Gareth, when you look at the situation as is the political landscape, the EFF is clearly stealing votes, or rather taking votes from a disgruntled youth that used to rather identify with ANC politics, and now they identify with the EFF. When I think about the Ramaphosa presidency, especially as popular a political figure as he is, some say even, above the ANC's own popularity, who are you worried for most here that Ramaphosa is going to take their vote? Is it the Democratic Alliance or is it the EFF?
Well, I think the ANC itself will be most worried about the EFF. You must remember that it's a relative increase for the ANC. There's no evidence to suggest that they're going to get more than they got in 2014. You remember they got 62% there. And whatever Cyril Ramaphosa is able to deliver for the party will actually be a relative recovery down from the low 50s. So it's not like the ANC on the back of Cyril Ramaphosa is, setting the world alight and winning over new voters. All it's trying to do is desperately win back some of the support it's lost, and it's losing that support primarily to the EFF.
Well, thank you very much there to the head of politics and governance at the Institute of Race Relations, of course, there, Gareth van Onselen.